maybe use this as a class video for us as we're going through this. Okay? So you all are going to get one of these. Name, date, and hour. So the date again today is 2/12/24. Hour is 7th hour. I'm going to explain how dimension sheets work and how I followed some of the dimension rules with this as we're going to go through here. It's not a true dimensioned part. I'm going to show you guys what a true part in the manufacturing industry would look like. I'm going to start passing some this way towards Grady, pass some this way, and then we are going to grab one, pass it. And what you guys are going to do while I'm working on getting this is I'm going to give you an opportunity to attempt to do some of this on your own. Now, if you're having an issue with this, listen up, please. If you're having an issue with this sheet or with measurement, generally speaking, guess what? You're all going to be getting the answers to this in a little bit. Before we begin, I'm going to have you guys write something on here. Okay? At the bottom. All measurements, measurements, can be found using, okay, you got enough space? Yep. Okay, 1/8. Okay, that means that all measurements can be found using the 1/8 scale. If you look at your ruler, you can see that at the edge of your ruler, at the end, it usually says 8 and 16. If I flip it over, it'll say 16 right here, and then it'll say 32 right there. But we are going to be on the 8th side, so that means that either you can hold it like this, with it being upside down, you can hold it like this, with it being right side up, but everything's going to be found on the 8th side. When it comes to dimensioning, typically, everything is measured off of one edge. One edge is going to be where everything's going to start. You always will be labeling the largest distance out first. So as you go closer to the drawing, what do you suspect, or what can you visually see, especially right here? What's happening to the length that we're dimensioning as we get closer to the drawing? We start out big, and then it should be getting smaller. Okay? We will go through this together as a class. Everything is measured off of this edge. And if you're using the 8ths, I would probably start like this. Okay? And let's do the largest first. So from one edge to the other, if we have this drawn out perfectly, 3.5, 7, 10.5. So the very first one and the farthest one down should be 10.5. Okay? Can everybody see how I got that? It's a little bit shorter than 10.5 because this was drawn up on a Microsoft Word document. It wasn't drawn up with an actual drafting or drawing program. But it's going to be 10, the farthest distance is going to be 10.5. Can I expect the next one up to be less or more than 10.5? Less or more than 10.5?
Less.
Less. Okay. Do you notice that if I put this on here and it's going to land along with this, all of them will land on a 1/8 of an inch. That's what I mean with all measurements can be found using the 8th scale. All of them are going to either land on either a 1/2 inch, a whole inch, or an 1/8 of an inch. Nothing else. Okay, all of the measurements that we're going to get will be found in that. Okay, I'll let you guys start working on this. I'm going to go get an actual print from the 8th grade class that we're going to start with, and then I'm going to watch my timer. When this gets to 55, which is in about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, or 2 minutes and 20 seconds, then we will go through this together. So don't worry about not understanding this. If you're having a hard time with it, we're going to go through all of the answers in just a moment anyway. but just try to get something down. Try to answer some of them. Again, they're either going to land on a whole inch, they're going to land on an eighth, they're going to land on a fourth, they could land on a 3/8, they could land on a half, they could land on a 5/8, they could land on a 3/4, they could land on a 7/8, or another whole inch. But just these fractions, you're not going to have to worry about anything with 16ths at all on this when you're going through this, okay? Got it? I'll give you guys, again, when this gets to 155, so right now you only have a minute and a half to work. Don't worry about not getting it finished, because we're going to be going through it here in a second, okay? So just try it. Try right now and give it a shot. I'm just going to move right here and grab a sheet from the 8th grade, and we'll go from that. I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed. I want to make it so that it's easy for you guys to understand. And if you get, your measurement is what it is. If you're not understanding measurement right now, that's 100% fine. We're going to get through it and we're going to show you. I know we haven't got a chance to go over the measurement quizzes or anything. That's okay. I'll stop talking for the next minute. We're going to go to 56 because I kept talking. 56. Huh? Stop standing at the table and see that you're doing it on purpose. I've asked you already nicely. Don't do it again, please. Thank you.
What was that? Like, the artist just did this.
Okay, let's go through it. Here we go. Before we do that, I want to talk to you about, this is probably a lot closer to an actual manufacturing print that you would see. This has been dimensioned using the dimension rules on here. This is something you guys are going to be doing in 8th grade. This is the very first project that anyone does in 8th grade. It works great as a lot of things. It's a really good measurement tool, and this is sort of how I designed what we're doing right now off of this, because it covers measurement, because that's really important. It's an actual part that we are going to be using in class, that they'll be making. The way that I taught it this morning was probably the best way that I've taught it ever since I've started teaching this. And this was drawn up in 2017. So it was drawn up almost 7 years ago that I did this. Okay. I've tried several different ways to teach this. I'm never going to be satisfied until everybody understands this a lot better. Okay. What I want you to do right now is I want you to stop drawing. I'm fine if you doodle, but right now we're going to kind of go through this together. And you guys are all of the answers will be revealed to you right now. Okay. So let's pause before we fill this one in. We're going to fill this space, and this space in. When lines get dimensioned, these arrows, the lines with the arrows on it, are called dimension lines. The lines that come off the part are called extension lines. An extension line is basically exactly the way that it sounds. It's an extension of the drawing of exactly what we're going to do. Okay? Again, and if this were drawn up on an actual Microsoft, other than a Microsoft Office, like Word document, it would be more accurate than what it is. But right now, if we take a look at either the screen or your own rulers, if we start at 0 and have this land as close as possible to the one it's going to land on, how wide is each of these 3 sections? This section, and this section. They all should be exactly 3.5. 3 1/2. We're going to write a big 3 and a little 1 over a little 2. A big 3 and a little 1 over a little 2. Okay, so everybody should have that written on there just like that. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. So if we follow what I've mentioned already, that the largest is going to be dimensioned farthest away, and then as we get closer, it's going to get smaller. What do we know about the one that's in between 10.5 and 3.5? Is it bigger than 3.5? Yes, it is, because it's, as we said, as it gets closer, it's going to get smaller. Is it smaller than 10.5? Yes, we do. So we know the range that it's going to be in. What's a very simple way we can figure this out? 3 plus 3 is? Somebody shout it out. 3 plus 3 is? 1/2 plus 1/2 is? 1. So 6 plus 1 is? 7 inches. That's all that one is. It's 10.5, 7 inches, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. Are we all on the same page right now in terms of what we're dimensioning out so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. Next, we are going to start by measuring from the edge to we call this a T sort of. So we have 2 parts. This one is open. This one is also open. We have 2 different types of parts. We have open parts and we have closed parts. Okay. You guys haven't been introduced to your candy machine project yet, but when you see that in here, this is what it's going to be. So we have 2 open and we have 1 closed. By that I mean that we are going to have when we make our parts, this will be open to the outside edge. This one will be open to the outside edge. This is going to be closed all the way around. So open, open, closed. You guys should be writing that on there. On the first open one, from the edge of the part to the edge of the this, how many whole inches are we past? 1, 2. Okay, how many lines past 2 inches are we on this? If we line this up on the edge, you can either look at the screen or you can look at your own ruler. So we're definitely at 2 inches. How many lines past 2 inches are we? Somebody said it? 1, yes. So it's going to be 2 1/8. The next one's going to be 2 1/8. Okay? So we start here. 1, 2, we went to 2 inches and then 1/8 inch past that. 2 1/8. Next one is going to be from the edge to the edge of the open part. And realistically, it should be like that. We're at 1 whole inch. Are we to 2 whole inches yet? Nope. We're 1 less than a whole inch. And eighths. So if we were at 2, it would be 1 8/8. What's 8 minus 1? Yep, so this one should be 1 7/8. Okay? Everybody follow me so far? Did we see how we got to 1 7/8? If we go right here, here's 1. If we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how we got to 7/8 for that one. Okay? How about this next one? Somebody help me with this next one. If we put it exactly like this on here, we're measuring to this point right here. We're measuring to this line right here, right where my pencil is. How many whole inches are we past? 1. And how many lines past 1 are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, when we start counting, once we get to our whole inch, that's going to start over at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1 and what? 5 over. All of them are measured on the what scale? 8th scale. So it's 1 5/8. Okay? The last one. Time out. Do we see a pattern? 2/8, 2 1/8 to 1 7/8, 1 7/8 to 1 5/8. What do you think the next one's going to be? Based off of that, say it again. You're exactly correct. 3/8, 1 3/8, 1 3/8. Just to double check it to make sure. Here's 1 inch, and we do 1 2 3, 1 3/8. What are the 3 rules to measurement? We know about the pizza, just cutting up a pizza. Counting to what number? What's the highest number we have to count to? 16, and every even number can be divided by 2. If you can remember all of those, you'll be in good shape. Now, if this is symmetrical and if this is balanced, and our open space in the middle is the same distance on each side, can anybody have an idea of what this one's going to be? If this is 1 3/8 on this side, what do you think it's going to be over here? 1 3/8, what do you think it's going to be on this side? 1 3/8, because it's going to be symmetrical. We want this to float in the dead center of a 3-inch space. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Let's go to this side over here. We're almost done. We've already measured this over here. This portion is going to be laid out exactly the same because we want these to look exactly the same as you put them together. So if we know what this one is, from here to the edge of the open space is what? 1 3/8. And then we measure from the outside, from the other outside in this way. What do you think it's going to be if it's the same as this over here? 1 3/8. And now we just have one more left to do. We have to measure the space in the middle. If we go like this, if we start, does it matter what whole inch we started if we're just counting in between the lines? Nope, it doesn't. Ready? Let's just count. Somebody count with me. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. So if we wrote 6/8, would we be wrong? If we wrote 6/8 there because we just measured that and counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we wrote 6/8, would we be wrong? No. What was our rule that we talked about though? Top and bottom number, if they're both even, they both can be divided by what number?
2.
2. So 6 divided by 2 is?
3.
And 8 divided by 2 is?
4.
4. So far right now, guys, we have got all of this done. We have just one more to do. I forgot to write my name on here, Keenan. And the date is 2-12-24. The hour is 7th hour. Okay. Watch this. Turn it 90 degrees like this. Okay. I've already done some of this for you because of how small this is. But I wrote 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. Meaning that there's even space right here, even space right here. What is the space in the middle right here that I've already written? That I didn't write, I did not write right here. What should I write right here? 1/4. Okay? 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals what?
3, 4.
Yep. 3, if I can try to write this, over 4. So there's a little tiny space for you and just enough space for you to write 3/4 right there. That means that the pieces that we're using are going to be 3/4 of an inch big. So these are the actual wood pieces. And we just are using scraps for these. We'll be putting more, I'll be putting more of these together. I'm going to be cutting up scrap next hour. But these are the pieces that we are going to start with once we get our passes, or once we get all of our measurement or safety quizzes passed. Okay? So, but we can start laying some of this out. If my first piece I'm going to use is less than 10.5 inches, does that mean I can't use it? No. The way that this is dimensioned and laid out is that it just needs to be longer than what? To make one of these 3 pieces, what does it have to be longer than? 3 1/2. Okay? If it were 7, that'd be even more great. Again, don't doodle right now. I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay? We're less than 7 inches, so we can't quite get 2 full pieces in here, but we can get 1. We'll try to make it so that we're not looking at the glare all the time. leave it just like that. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see if that works. Okay, autofocus. Check this out. So if I go by this, the first thing we need to do is we need to divide the two sections in half. Okay? When you guys are going to draw these out, I would recommend getting two pieces of material that are the same thickness so that you can set this ruler up here and it's not going to move on you. You can set it down and you can lift your hands up. Okay? You following me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first distance I want to make is the largest one on here. So the largest one on here is going to be 3.5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then halfway to 4, I'm going to put a mark right here. And then I'm going to turn it this way. How do I know? Is there anything about this ruler that I could use to make sure that this is perpendicular or 90 degrees? The line that I'm drawing is going to be perpendicular or 90 degrees.
The line.
Yep. I sort of talked about this a little bit on Friday. If I line this up right now, and it doesn't matter what whole inch I start with or use, but right now I'm lining this up where the 4 and the 8 are running along the edge of it, and I'm going to go just like this. Okay? While I have this up here, how does it get divided from top to bottom? If we review what we drew, or what the last part right here that we went over, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. One thing you might want to write on here, 1/4 equals how many eighths? 1/4 equals how many eighths?
2.
Whoops, this should be eighth, dummy. I messed up. This should be a 2 up on top. I'm sorry, I'm hard on myself. But 1/4 equals 2/8. So if I have it lined up like this and I'm using my whole inches to make it perpendicular, we can go like this. We can go 1, 2, and then put a mark. And I can go 1, 2, and then put another mark. Does that look pretty well divided into 3 equal pieces right now? I think it does. And I'm going to do the same thing over here towards the middle. I'm going to line it up with the 8 and the 4 on the edge. We're going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to put a mark. I'm going to go 1, 2, and put a mark. Just like that. And it should look pretty decent that way. Okay. Now I'm going to take care of the 1 3/8 and 1 3/8. To make it easy for you, you're going to go like this. I put this down here. If I start out at a whole inch, does it matter what whole inch I start at?
No.
Nope, because it's all the same in between. So if I start at 5, I'm going to go towards 4. Here's 1 inch. We're going to count 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a mark right here. There's 2 different ways I could do this. I could measure from the other side, 1 3/8. How many, if we look at this part right here, how many eighths, oops, going to move this way. How many eighths made up this middle part? 6. So you could go like this. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I could put it there. To double check it, I could slide this over, start at 2. And that's really close to exactly perfect. Right there is perfect. Okay. Once I have this, all you got to do is go like this. And I'll even show you a third way to do this in a moment. Well, let's get this laid out like this. And this will be what I'm doing on here and what's being recorded right now. I can easily throw this up on the YouTube and we'll have it so that you will be able to use it at any time. And right now it's already longer than it should be, but we're taking our time getting through it. So I'm gonna go like this. So far right now, does it look like or starting to look like what we've done here so far? Does it look the same? It really should. Okay. Is there anything on this sheet that I could use instead of having to use all of these measurements here? Is there anything on the sheet, like in this area or in this area, that I could use to finish this part? Look at your sheet. Look at the edge. Look at what we wrote. Could I use anything here, or could I use anything here to help finish out how to lay this out?
On the what?
So if I went like this, and we look at this, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 would be the same. Remember, 1/4 equals what? 2/8.
Yep.
So I can go like this, set this up on the edge. We set it up at 3. We're gonna go 1, 2 and put a mark. We're gonna go 1, 2 and put a mark. Then I just gotta bring all these down like this. Now here's a question. If I were to erase this, does this section right here resemble or look like this one?
Yeah.
And it should. Okay? That's the basic way how to do it. We've pretty much already done this one. We definitely did this one because we did this one. That's the layout of all 3 parts. You guys can definitely do this. You're definitely capable of doing this. Okay? I'll put this up on Facebook, or not, it's on Facebook. I'll put this up on the YouTube. I'll probably take out the time that I let you guys measure at the beginning, and I might just make it so that we're just doing the layout of this, which would make it probably less than 15 minutes long, but it basically shows you how to do it. Okay? Everybody got it? Good deal.